That destroyed me. I had two choices. I either go there and kidnap him myself and kill her and him, or I disappear and go find peace. And that's what I did. I went and I found peace. Because in my mind, I played that image of, what if I kill them? How will that end? I just booked a movie as a superhero. Who would have thought? Who would have thought that I book a movie? It's with like Marvels, but me as Rack. The movie's called The Legion of Five. Then every time I went into the courts with a lawyer, after a few court sessions, that lawyer would leave me, drop out of my case, take my money and drop out. I had 3 or 4 lawyers who dropped out. And the last one left me 2 days before my trial. And every time it was women. Andrew Tate is probably the reason why I'm going to get my son back earlier. If it wasn't because of Andrew Tate, I wouldn't have been on the internet. If there was no Andrew Tate, there wouldn't have been King Azoulay. Our world is dying because of the children.
Yeah.
He goes, Ben, fuck you. What did you say to me? He said, fuck you. I said, what, did you take Brave Juice this morning? What do you think you're talking to? And people don't know, I spent $5 million in the last 38 months being on social media. It costs about $150,000 a month out of my savings for me to run social media and do everything that I do, because 24/7, that's my life.
Well, guys, it appears that the humiliation ritual that Bend-Over Azoulay is just constantly partaking in just never ends. And we are already back once more, taking a look at what has to be his most horrific and just pathetic podcast yet, where this man was just saying and doing anything and was feeling like he just took some Brave Juice because he had a podcast host that was riding him to completion and glazing the shit out of him. And it was only yesterday that we actually watched the first part of this podcast, where Bend-Over was trying to explain away his horrific past, and in doing so, he thought it was a splendid idea to try and threaten John Bravo again, like that hasn't backfired on him every single fucking time he does it.
Ask me about that night, ask me, and I'll prove to you with a lie detector test that I didn't do any of that stuff. And he said, okay, we'll do it with me. And then he just continued to make videos on me because he makes money off of making videos on me.
Yeah, slandering you and stuff. Yeah.
But him we're taking care of a little bit differently. You know?
That sounds very scary. What do you mean? How are you taking care of him?
Listen, when someone slanders your name and does everything to destroy you, when you have a moment to get him back, make sure to get him back.
Yeah, I know the feeling on that,
know what
by
I mean?
the way.
Like, you have to. If you have the opportunity, you could do it legally. You don't have to do it illegally.
Yeah, totally.
When you have money, you could do a lot of things legally.
Yeah.
And of course, in that video, we flamed the ever-living shit out of not only Bend-Over, but also the off-brand Seth Rogen, the Seth Rogen impersonator out here, since he wanted to platform him, without giving a single ounce of pushback on anything he said, but rather just tried to deep-throat him right there in the middle of the podcast. And I guess the podcast host just didn't like it very much, because he was immediately in my comments of that last video, basically throwing a little bitch fit and having the audacity to defend Bend-Over Azoulay. And naturally, he got the pin of shame, where he got flamed in the comments as well, so he came back for a double dosing of back shots, and now he's about to be receiving round 3. So picking up from where we left off, Bend-Over finally stopped trying to explain away his past, and finally felt like a badass after trying to show John Bravo who's boss by making a very ominous, pathetic threat. And he picked up on another new topic, which was apparently how they are coming to kill him, and he thinks that he will be taken out because of everything he's doing online, and the only reason that he's slowed down is because he's worried about this, because if he dies, then he won't be able to see his son.
Kind of like Socrates in a way.
Mm-hmm.
But he was killed too, right? I think it was 60.
You said he was killed too. It's almost like that's something that you're... I mean, he was killed too. You're anticipating that eventually they'll kill you.
I'm anticipating that I will be killed, just like I'm sure that Andrew Tate will be killed. You don't understand how many killers there are around you.
Yeah.
So I'm doing it as gentle as I could. I could go way more wilder and get way more views and die way quicker. There's a lot of things I don't talk about. But I got on so I could get my son back. And then I figured, well, if they kill me, how will I ever see my son? Even if I died as a martyr, see how many people hate me. So many people are just going to talk shit about me and laugh.
And you gotta love how he is literally just copying this directly from Andrew Tate at this point. This man wants to be Andrew Tate so bad that after watching Andrew go on his little speech about how they're coming to take him out, he got inspired, hopped on a podcast only a week later, and was doing the same exact shit. Like, nobody is coming for your goober ass. If anything, you're just a lolcow at this point that people laugh at and literally just make fun of. But as you can tell, during this, he started to kind of throw in his supposed reason for coming online, which he is trying to state isn't to have become a lolcow, but was for his son's sake. That's the reason he's doing all this shit. That's the reason he said that he could take on 30 men at once and beat them off to succession, and why he trained with Master Shifu in a Chinese restaurant and all that shit. It apparently was all for his son. And on a funny side note, he gets so ridiculous with trying to push this thing that he even makes up some shit about being in an upcoming movie where he's a superhero, and he just starts fantasizing about his son having a part in the movie, and it just ends up being a weird little segment that I just had to throw in here.
I just booked a movie as a superhero. Who would have thought? Who would have thought that I book a movie, it's with like Marvels, but me as Rack. The movie's called The Legion of Five.
So your son's probably going to see a movie out there with his dad.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that was my dream, because I wrote a movie called The Savior, where I play as a superhero, where I go into a school to save the kids, and my son is being held hostage. And when I tell my son, come to me, his mother's at the door with her stupid boyfriend, and I go, come to me. And the people who are holding them hostage, shocked that I just arrived, flew in through the roof. And my son looks at his mom and looks at me, and I go, come to dad. And he looks at her like, what? And she goes to him, yeah, go to dad, it's your daddy. And then he runs to me, Dad. I wrote the whole movie.
So yeah, we're just having some like school daydreaming levels of fantasy right here, where he's just making up situations where he's saving people from the bad guys. And this is what an entire segment, like a big majority of this podcast centered around, was him basically talking about how his son inspired him to basically come online and just lie and act like a dumbass. And it all started off when the podcast host decided to ask him this right here and gave Ben the opportunity to really start to dive into it.
Why did you decide to get into this mess? Like, why put yourself out there and be a target for these individuals to attack you on social media when you're already rich? Like, you already had everything. Why did you do that?
So I did it for my son.
Okay.
I was going through the courts. I'll give you the whole story about my son. But 3 years ago, I felt that I was going to lose him. And I got on social media. And when I got on in the courts, she showed, look at him. He's making money. He's rich. He's driving Lambos. He's traveling the world. And I didn't get child support for 12 months. Well, I'm going to explain to you exactly why she didn't get child support for 12 months.
And we're just going to stop right there for a second, because I'm surprised that the host was even able to get that question out with his mouth being so full. But after this, Ben kind of went into the beginning of the story, which was all over the place. And I'm just going to give you the brief summarization, because if I included it in this video, it would be even longer than it already is going to be. But in it, Ben is basically talking about how he was messing around and was dating this woman who was married and had 2 children. And they ended up breaking up because she didn't want to get a divorce and he couldn't convince her. So he then kind of just wandered out, met this new girl who apparently he clicked with right away. They were dating a little bit. She had a boyfriend as well, so Ben is just out here dating any woman who's taken, I guess. And while dating her, he even tells a story about how the boyfriend was outside the door, and it all went wrong when she ended up getting pregnant with his son, as you're about to hear.
And he was knocking on the door, and he was like, please, Kate, I know you're in there. Open. And she didn't answer. I said, no need to answer if you're going to answer, She didn't tell him to come. He showed up. And she already stopped answering him. Anyways, I felt very obligated to be with her because of that whole situation too. But she got pregnant after 3 weeks.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And she said that she was taking birth control because of acne and stuff like that, that it sets the period right and things like that. So then she goes, it's a miracle child. I said, it is a miracle. I looked at her and I said, do you really think we should keep that child? I wanted to ask her, what does she think? Because she just came and said, I'm pregnant. And she tells me, are you insinuating that we should get an abortion?
And yeah, everything he says needs to, of course, be taken with a grain of salt because this guy lies about literally fucking everything. But as you can tell, he basically, after finding out she was pregnant, just asked her if she wanted to get an abortion. And knowing Ben, he probably did not do it in a very gentle or good way whatsoever. And with the track record he has with women, and how we've seen with John Bravo's shit, he tends to allegedly get a little violent with them, with that whole restraining order he had against him. And I mean, for fuck's sake, we even heard him talk about, in certain stories, how he put his hands on one of his girlfriends, and that was the reason the judge wanted to teach him a lesson with his whole little grape case. So knowing him, I'm sure he said it in a way that was probably pretty fucked up. But he then proceeds to tell the story even further, where she got upset by him, you know, making this suggestion to begin with. And because she got upset and had a reaction that a lot of people would probably have when such a thing was suggested, he apparently saw the demon in her and just started referring to her as a fucking demon.
And then she freaked out, and I saw a demon. She went to school. She had her master's degree in theatrical. Talk about the theater and the drama that was caused that moment. In my home, she started screaming. She threw stuff off of my computer desk, went out of the room, slammed the door.
Because she was pissed off that you even
Pissed
mentioned.
off that I mentioned it.
Yeah, wow.
I didn't know what she wanted. I thought she would want an abortion.
But were you prepared to keep the child? Like it was more like you're testing the waters.
I wanted to know what she wanted to do.
Yeah.
I was kind of in shock, but obviously wanted to ask her, like, are we having this baby or do you not want to have the baby? Not like, come get an abortion.
Yeah.
And she flipped out on me, and I was like fucking scared. I tell you, I was scared that moment.
And this is
Because
after your
I already
experiences
had experiences with women.
with the woman beating herself up and
Yeah.
all that stuff. Yeah.
I was fucking scared. I was like, shit, I'm going to jail. I'm going to jail. She's going to say that I did something to her. She flipped out. And then I went outside, and she went to the balcony, and she was crying, like hysterically crying. And I said, hey. And she's like, don't touch me. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. And I'm like, no, I came to tell you that I really want this child. I don't know what you want to do. I realize I'm dealing with someone that is not normal. And she goes, oh, what? Oh, wait, you want a child? And everything just changed. She's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And she jumped on me. And that's when I realized that really I'm dealing with a demon.
So yeah, apparently he was dealing with the demon because again, she just got upset that he was even bringing up the idea to get an abortion, which he himself is always claiming he's against and all this other shit. But that right there was the singular reason as to why she's apparently a demon and why he is trying to paint her as being such. And of course, like he does with everything, he is immediately trying to paint himself as being this victim, where apparently he's the victim of all of these different women who have all made claims against him, and somehow it's always them and not him. Somehow all of these different women that he has apparently affected that we've seen John Bravo cover, they're not actually the victim, but instead Bendover is. And he even tries to play the whole I'm worried she's gonna make false claims shit and all that other BS. And it's all already ridiculous because when someone's telling a story like this and they are just apparently doing absolutely nothing wrong in their version of the story and the other person is just doing everything wrong, usually it means that their story is complete and utter bullshit. But he then dives further into it, and because she had that one little outburst where she was probably emotional and upset, he decided that from that day he was never going to touch her again and just stopped having any type of like physical intimacy with her. And he even dives into how his ex that was married got in contact with him again and how he started talking with her and interacting with her again.
But from that moment, I never touched her. I couldn't look at her. There was times that she was coming and, trying to do things with me. But like I would never initiate it. Most of the time I would say no. Eventually I told her, I said, we're living like roommates. So until he was one, I stuck around. But 2-3 months after, my ex called me and goes, come here, I gotta talk to you. And I said, okay, where are you? So I arrived there. She sees me, she hugs me. She tells me she misses me. She tells me she's gonna die if she doesn't spend the rest of her life with me, that she's gonna leave her husband. I go, I'm sorry, there's a problem. She goes, what? I said, I have a woman at home. She go, okay, let's kick the bitch out. I said, it's not that easy. She's pregnant. I'm about to have a son. She fainted.
She fainted
right there. And I had to take her to Tarzana Medical Center to get checked out, make sure she's okay. And then I told her we can't be in touch, but I loved her to death. So imagine, I was dreaming about her every single night, waking up in the middle of the night, thinking to me, looking back, seeing a pregnant woman, thinking to myself, what the fuck am I doing? I want to be with her, but how do I even leave this one? If I leave this one, she's going to say I did something to her. She's cuckoo. So we built a plan. I get rid of her, she gets rid of her husband. We said we're going to die if we're not going to be together. We were really nuts about one another, like different level nuts. I went home and had a conversation with Kate, that's the mother of my child. I said, look, we're like roommates. And I don't know how to explain to her, because I don't know if something's going to fly. Let's take some time off from one another. She flipped out, started throwing things in the house. My son Donovan is on the floor, freaking out.
He's like 1 year old at this point.
He's less than one.
Wow.
It was like 10 months. And then I go to her, I'm just kidding, baby. It was just a joke. It was just a joke.
Because you knew it was going nuclear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking nuclear war.
Yeah.
So let me just put this shit into perspective for you. This fucking goober is telling this story and still trying to portray himself as, I guess, being the victim of it. When what he's trying to basically do here is, he is trying to leave his current girl who had his son, who he has been living with, because he's claiming they're living like roommates. But the reason they're living like roommates is because he's refusing to touch her because of one little, breakdown she had when she found out she was pregnant, and he made a suggestion of getting an abortion. And instead of, trying to fix that or anything, his solution is to go back to his ex, who is married to another person and has kids, and to try to find a way to leave and abandon his family to go get with some married woman and ruin another family. Like, what the fuck are we doing? This goes against everything he tries to teach, everything he preaches, and it's just ridiculous. Like, what the fuck is even going on in this story? And after this, he then proceeds to go on and talk about how he started playing mind games, like saying he ran out of money, and then to him, surprisingly, she stayed with him. And he then starts yapping about how it progressed and she found pictures of his ex on his camera and all and wanted to leave. So he let her leave and go back to Ohio. And that's when they decided they no longer wanted to be together.
It was about a week later where I said to her, look, I love you and I really want us to spend the rest of our life together. There's just a problem. She said, what is it? Do you want to leave? I said, no, I don't want to leave. But I lost all of my money and we're going to have to move in with my mother. Just for some time. Don't worry, I'm going to fix it. But I lost pretty much all of my money. And we have to cut down on expenses. She ate it somehow. I told her there's nothing I could do. Is there someone that could help us?
Was it true though? Like
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I figure if I take her to my mom's house and then separate from her, then over there, she's not going to cause a scene because my mom is there. And she opened my camera. She said Donovan was playing with the camera. But I took some modeling photos of my girlfriend, my ex-girlfriend. I still didn't touch my ex-girlfriend, by the way. I told her I have to be fully separated because I can't do the cheating thing. I won't cheat. So when Kate came back, she saw the camera and she saw the photos. And then if I remember correctly, she threw the camera on the floor. It's like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to go back to Ohio. I'm going to take my son there and we're going to speak. But I'm going to go for now. I need to go calm down. I said, okay, she needs to calm down. Obviously, if I tell her don't take Donovan, she's not going to leave. I didn't think I was going to go through this whole mess with her. So she flew to Ohio. She didn't cause a scene. But when she got to Ohio, she kept pulling me, saying why she couldn't come down here. Because of the fact that, first of all, when she got to Ohio, we spoke over the phone and I said, look, let's end this. There's no relationship, okay? Okay, thank you. We agree. So she flew to Ohio, and then in Ohio, I didn't know that if Ohio has my child for 3 months, Ohio will take jurisdiction over my son. No longer a Californian boy. So she kept dragging me. And then after 3 months, she started dating a Palestinian guy. Then the courts shut down because of COVID.
Yeah.
So for 2 years, I had nobody to speak to. So I didn't see my son for 2 years. Then the courts opened and the courts let me see my son.
So yeah, apparently she went to Ohio, and Bendover just could not figure it all out with her. So of course, he ended up taking it to the courts, and the courts were apparently letting him see his son. But he then starts talking about how she was making all types of what he calls false accusations, and was making statements about him and how he was dangerous and all of this other shit. And it makes sense with the track record he has again. And I mean, even before any of this came out, in John Bravo's video, we saw a segment from Greg Doucette talking about how there was a restraining order. So I guess the accusations had enough evidence to get one of those in place.
Somebody even reached out, who knows Ben, to Greg Doucette, which he put in his video, showing the same information.
I'm not going to say the exact names of this, but I'm going to read some of this. Absolutely out of his mind. He excommunicated me after blah, blah, blah. Dude, he's the funniest person on the internet, and knowing him personally makes it even funnier. He's not putting on a show. He actually believes his bullshit. He's actually got a kid in the Midwest that's like 7, and the mom won full custody of and has a restraining order against him. You can't make this stuff up.
But naturally, since it's Bendover we're talking about, he was just the victim yet again, and was somehow just getting accused by another one of these multiple women in his life that are all just randomly accusing him of shit.
She tells them, oh, he's a dangerous man. He could kill me. He's this, he's that. The judge looked at her. That was a very good judge at the time. Looked at her and says, ma'am, if Ben wanted to kill you, he would kill you. She said what she said to try to win in court.
No.
Oh, this guy kills people for a living.
Wow.
You know, he works in a special job. He disappears for a while, goes, takes out people, come back. And next thing you know, she's sitting there with me when she told him that she's afraid of me.
And you just gotta love how the glazer of a podcast host is putting the false accusations little thing there nonstop and is just eating this shit up. And after this, Bendover then goes on to basically explain how he ended up losing custody of his son. And he doesn't talk about losing it in a court battle, and apparently it had nothing to do with the false accusations, but instead was because he just magically took her word that they no longer needed to go to court or anything, and instead they could just handle it as an outside matter, which doesn't even really make sense, because as you have seen, he looked at her as a demon, so I don't know why he would just take her word like this, and there's got to be a whole lot more to the story, but yeah, that's just what he says happened.
So she told me, look, we already go through the courts, all that. We're paying lawyers. Let's just end it all. Drop the case, dismiss it. We know when you're coming, when you're going. You take care of him. You send me money for food. Like, we know what's happening. We know when you're coming, when you're going. Like, we don't need the courts to be involved. Stupid me believed her. And I said, okay, you're right. So I called in and I said, look, I'd like to dismiss the case. Told my lawyer to dismiss it. Then I got on a flight with Donovan back to Ohio. Donovan was with me here when I dismissed the case. Pretty much removed me from everywhere. Blocked me on social media. I sent the sheriff to her house. When the sheriff arrived, she told him, I have 100% custody over my son. If he wants, he could take me to court.
Wow.
And after I went through the first 2 years with Corona and COVID and all that, not being able to get a hold of the courts, and finally getting him back, and then losing him again after having him for a year, that destroyed me. I had 2 choices. I either go there and kidnap him myself and kill her and him, or I disappear and go find peace. And that's what I did. I went and I found peace. Because in my mind, I played that image of, what if I killed him? How will that end? Donovan doesn't have a mom. Eventually he'll find out. I know he loves his mother. How could I hurt his mother? But she took him away from me and he needs me. And one of the biggest reasons she wanted me away was because her boyfriend Tommy at the time, my son said that Tommy yelled at him and hit him. And also that they take showers together and Tommy's naked. And there was also a picture of Tommy kissing my son on his mouth on Facebook. So I really wanted to hurt them. I remember it like it was yesterday. What if Tommy is touching him the wrong way or yelling at him or hitting him and I'm not there? Or if I'm just going to hear the stories later? My son was everything. I contemplated of killing them or dying, so I couldn't bear the pain.
So obviously, a lot of this is not making sense whatsoever, because instead of, just opening the court case back up immediately since he has all this money and he's apparently rich, instead of just doing that, he decided he only had 2 options, with option 1 being going and killing her and his son, which is absolutely fucking insane and just doesn't make any sense no matter how you cut it, or option 2, he just disappears and goes and finds peace. Those were the only 2 options in his head, when he could have easily just reopened the case, unless there was something that was preventing him from doing so, like him losing in court and getting a restraining order for some fuck shit that he did. But no, we're not going to mention that. That's not a possibility. He couldn't have easily just, taken him back to court. And instead, this was the route he took, where he then went on to just start lobbing some random ass allegations and talking about Tommy kissing his son on the mouth on Facebook and shit, which is something that he could have documented, taken to the court very very easily and used, but, surprise, surprise, he didn't, so I wouldn't be surprised if that never happened whatsoever. And it seems like he's just using this as a way to attack them by just lobbing these allegations. I mean, they've showed pictures for everything else on this podcast, but surprisingly, we don't get the one of, Tommy apparently doing this. I don't even know Tommy, but it just sounds like bullshit. Where if he had evidence for this shit, it could have easily been used in court and he would have 100% custody. But obviously, that's not how it went down. But with that being said, he then went and, found his peace and traveled with his mother and came back. And when he came back, he decided the only way to get his son back instead of, opening a court case was to get on the internet, start being an Andrew Tate clone, and start making up a whole lot of bullshit.
I went to travel with her to keep myself sane, but by the time I came back and started looking for my son again and fighting for my son and getting process servers, by the time she got served, it was a year of me not paying child support. And then every time I went into the courts with a lawyer, after a few court sessions, that lawyer would leave me, drop out of my case, take my money and drop out. I had 3 or 4 lawyers who dropped out, and the last one left me 2 days before my trial. And every time it was women, I said, she has a women lawyer, she's a woman, the judge is a woman, I'll bring a woman, they'll know how to talk to them. All I want is just to see my son. He goes, I don't care how much money we're making. You have to get online. I said, me online? What do I have to do online? He goes, you have to get online. The world needs you. He's like, I'm going to send you this guy. It's like you, just in English. The way you say things in Hebrew is the way he says things in English. You have to hear him out. And who does he send me? He sends me Andrew Tate. That's why I will always love Andrew Tate. I don't care what you tell me about him. I don't care that he said, fuck Israel. Andrew Tate is probably the reason why I'm going to get my son back earlier. If it wasn't because of Andrew Tate, I wouldn't have been on the internet. If there was no Andrew Tate, there would have been King Azoulay. It was like a day or 2 later, I have a dream. And in my dream, God speaks to me to get online. Tells me, go, follow my lead. I'm leading you to where you need to be. And that's how I started. Started doing videos, and after a week, I went super viral. Super viral, got a ton of hate, also got some love. And then again, more videos, more videos, more videos. And then everybody was saying, oh, look at you, trying to be Andrew Tate. 2 months later, wow, you remind me of Tate. Another month later, there's the next Andrew Tate. Couple months after, this guy is better than Andrew Tate. But they always compared me to Andrew. Thought that if I get on the internet, my son will know who I am. Because he put the 2 and 2 together. He said, well, Andrew Tate is the only guy that sounds like you, speaks like you. If you get on the internet, now there's 2 of you. Still room for everybody to know who you are. Because if everybody knows who he is, they will know who you are too. Because you guys speak almost identical. You sound the same. So it's a perfect place.
So yeah, that is his full master plan. Not actually getting custody of his son, but instead to hop on the internet, try to copy Andrew Tate. And by doing that, he was gonna get his son back somehow. Like, this is the biggest load of horse shit that I've ever seen. He was just a little clout goblin. He saw Andrew Tate, wanted to be like him, and became the Temu version that had a grape case. Like, that's all that happened. But with that said, that's enough of this clown for one day, because this went on way too long than it needed to. And we just had to cover it, because this was one of his most insane stories that we've seen yet. So if you enjoyed, please drop the sub and a like and join the Saints Mafia, where we are flaming all of these alpha male lolcows. And I'm out, watching bend over Azoulay try to save his reputation yet again. And peace.
I made a video. It said F students are the inventors. A students are my perfect employees because I don't believe in school. It went super viral. 7.5 billion views. The whole world saw it. At least all the young people. They blew up the schools here. They blew up toilets. They burned down one school, all because I said F students are the inventors. Was the biggest meme to ever exist on the internet.